to ourselves the subject of profit and loss. That we go through life making sure that we do not lose. Whether we are starting a business for ourselves or we're working for somebody else, we make sure that we do not lose. So we're all interested in profit, in benefiting. And in our subject last week, God says that if we do what He tells us to do, then it will be well with us.
That's right.
You know, some people want to think that it is well with my soul, but we're not doing what God tells us to do. God says to Israel, if you do what I tell you to do, then things will work out very, very well for you. But in the text that is now read by Brother Robinson in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, and verse number 50. Jeremiah points out that to Israel that the reason why things were not going well for them. It says, your wrongdoings have kept these away. Your sins have deprived you from good.
Yes.
And so I asked the question this morning, how are things going for you? Last week, it says that if we do what God tells us to do, things will go well with us. Then, but Jeremiah now says to Israel that you are not doing what God tells you to do, and things are not going well. So sometimes we're not necessarily poor, we're disobedient.
That's right.
And because we're disobedient, blessings or good things that could have come our way, we are deprived of that. And so, while we are interested in profiting or benefiting, I think that we should also pay close attention to the fact that we might well be losing. We talk about why, make any sense, may bother with a job here because me not see nothing when I work. Or as the young lady and her boyfriend told me, Pastor Michael, we sell the bus. Because we don't see any profit coming from running the bus. We lose it. And so we must not only look at our lives and evaluate to see if we are profiting, benefiting. We should also look at our lives to see whether or not we are also losing. So we should not only be interested in profit, but we should also be interested in loss and to do something about it. So we leave the job because we have to be borrowing money to go to work. We sell the bus or the taxi because we're spending too much money on repairs and insurance and all that, and we're not benefiting. What about our lives? If we look at our lives and we see that in some way we're not benefiting, our lives are not progressing, we're not moving up, what are we going to do with our lives? And I'm talking about money. in our lives. I'm talking about spiritually profiting. In the case of these people that Jeremiah was talking to, obviously Jeremiah was dealing with stuff like even their material things. And so sometimes it is true that material things are withholding from our lives because we are not doing good. In Matthew chapter 25 and verse 27, sometimes we lose because of what you would call breach of trust. Anybody has ever given you anything to manage yet, and you don't manage it properly, and they come back and take it away from you? Have you ever given somebody like a grocery shop to run, and groceries selling, but no money is in the till, and you take it away from them? Or you give the guy your tax, you buy a taxi and you give the guy Sister Sharon to run for you, and every day coming in have all kind of excuses as to why the taxi not making any money. And as my preacher friend wife would say, Pastor, the taxi not making any money, but he want one himself. He want to buy one. And so you take it away because of what you call breach of trust, because it is not benefiting. Well, you know, in Matthew chapter 25 and the 27th verse,
Yeah.
the Bible tells us this. Well then, God says, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest.
Yes.
Take the talent from him. Take the talent from him. No, it is the story of the one talent man. You know, you can either, sis, invest your money in some kind of business venture, or you can put it in the bank and get a little interest. So here was a case where, you know, one man, Sister Brittany, he got 10 talent. One man got 5. One man got 2. One man got 1. The one with the 10 talent, he invested the money and he had returns. The one with the 5, he invested the money, he got him some returns. The one with the 2, he invested the money, he got him some return. The one with the 1 did nothing at all with it. And the law says, well, even if you wasn't going to buy a car or a bus or whatever, well, at least you could have put it in the bank.
Yes, sir.
And you would get a little interest on it. I'm asking you, if you can't, I'm telling you, if you can't do anything else with your life, bank it, no man. Bank it and God, no man. Now, so if you know, some of us, we are able to have the ability to do lots of stuff and to excel and to move up in many areas. Some of us, if you give us a $10 million, we waste it. You give a man $100,000, he buy a used car and him fix it up and him sell it and him get another one and him moving up. Some of us, we can't do that. So it's best to just put the money in the bank and let it gain some kind of interest.
Yeah.
And so we can lose out in life if we're not banking our lives on the Lord. If we're not putting our lives, banking it on God. And so we're told sometimes the reason why we're not profiting, we're not moving up or moving on in life is because we're not really doing anything at all. Remember, I told you that sometimes we lose, not because we do something, but we lose because we do nothing.
Yes.
You know, you're maybe tired of me telling you the story of the man, you know, the pato and the rooster, where the man was boasting that his rooster can beat anything that has feathers on it. And this other man said, you're joking, I have an owl, or what we call a pato, and he can beat anything that has feathers on it. So they organized a little pato rooster fight, and they put them in a little ring, and everybody got it. And the rooster circled the owl and knocked him with a spur, and the owl just stood there. And the man says, what happened to your pato, man? He says, leave him alone. He's just speaking. And the rooster circled him again and knocked him with another spur, and he began to bleed. And the pato stood there. And the man says, what happened to your pato? Leave him alone. He's just speaking. When to cut a long story short, the rooster flogged him to death in the ring and he did nothing. So sometimes in our lives, we lose by not doing anything at all. By just standing there. And in Matthew chapter 25, 27 and 28, Jesus Christ chastised this man and says the reason why you lose is because you did nothing. So it's not that you did something, you know. You did nothing. There are so many people in our world today who are practically good people, but they're really doing nothing. They're not bad people. But as Jesus Christ says in verse 28 of Matthew chapter 25, at least you could have banked on me. You could have put the money in the bank. If you don't want to buy the car, the truck, or anything to turn around the money, at least put it in the bank and you get some little interest.
Yes.
It means that you have done something. You have get some interest. And so in our lives, we're not able to preach and sing and do all those stuff and come up and read, but are we banking our lives in the Lord? If we're not, maybe that's why we are losing.
Yes.
Because we're not really banking our lives in the Lord. But it's not only breach of trust. You see, God has given us an existence. He has given us a life. We thank Him for that. Because in this existence and this life that He has given us, there's so many things that we are enjoying. And there's so many people that have come into our lives to make our lives happy. And we're thankful that we are alive. We're thankful that we lived. Because life is so enjoyable. But if we breach that trust, we would have done nothing at all with the life. So some people have been given a life, but they have wasted it. They have done nothing with it. Remember the story in Luke chapter 13 of the barren fig tree, where it says that a certain man had a fig tree planted in his field, and he came looking for fruit on it, and he didn't find none. Luke 13 verse 6 or so are going down. You see, fig trees were not planted to be shady trees. They were planted to be fruit trees. And many people in this world, church, them are not fruit tree, them are just shady tree. Bare leaf, no fruit. My wife can tell that when we went down to Copperwood to start building, round the back of our yard, they just full of shady tree. Bare shady tree. We cut them down. You know. If you go around the back of our house and look around there, a bare fruit tree around there. Yes, and so our lives can be like that too, you know, that when people look up, already are shade people. We're not bearing any fruit. And so in Luke chapter 13, the guy says, cut down the tree. It is only taking up space. So we'll have to ask ourselves, if God has placed us in this world to be fruit trees, and we're only shady trees, are we not breaching that trust? Yes, because the book says in the same Luke 13, the guy says, it's 3 years now. I come looking for fruit on this tree, and I don't find any fruit on it. He says, cut it down. Cut it down because it is only taking up space. So as God has placed us here in this world to do something meaningful and worthwhile with our lives so that we can profit, but when we look at our lives, we're only losing. We have breached that trust. We have breached that trust. So maybe that's why nothing now go on. We hear people say that all the time. Nothing now go on for me. Not now go on in my life. Not now go on. Could it mean